Hey, what's up, everyone? We're going to talk about writing copy like a boss. So I'm sure a lot of you are waiting on this since we just talked about your Facebook ads and landing pages. So we're going to go over 11 ways to write copy and do it really well. So let's start with this. I wrote this all out for you, so you can just reference this whenever you need to. But we'll go through it together. So let's just dive right into it. One of my favorite things to do is to use self-depreciating phrases and be super vulnerable. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, this is definitely not the way I started. I don't think it's the way anyone starts when they start writing copy, because we want to come off really, shiny, glossy, perfect, and we want people to buy from us. We want people to get whatever we're offering. And just the natural, inclination that we have is to make it sound like what we've got everything under control, and we don't want to let anything bad show through. And so when you do the opposite of that, when you use something that is self-depreciating and when you're openly vulnerable, people gravitate to you almost immediately. And no matter, this is becoming a little bit more commonplace to be slightly more vulnerable, but it's still barely used. I would venture to say that less than 1% of people writing any sort of copy actually are vulnerable, and less than 1% of the 1% use anything that's self-depreciating. So when you do this, you stand out almost immediately, and it's a really, really good thing. So when I write copy for clients, sometimes they're like, wait, this sounds a little bit different than what I'm used to. And my response is just like, okay, why don't you just put this on a split test up against whatever you're used to, and we'll just see what happens. And I usually just say it just like that, and 100% of the time, this wins. So let's start with that. Use self-depreciating phrases. So I just added the one in directly from my ad that's still performing really well right now. It says, "Hey guys, I'm a nobody from Chicago with a complete and total annoyance for the city." And I actually got some inspiration from a guy named Brad for that type of a sentence structure. But what I'm saying is what a lot of people will write is hey, they basically try to make themselves seem really well known, and that this person just happens to have never heard of them. But in reality, nobody's ever heard of you. And if you have a pet peeve with something that's pretty funny, then just say it, rather than hey guys, I'm a $1 million earner in network marketing, and I'm from the great city of Chicago, writing you from the Trump Tower today. That just sounds like none of that's true, but that just sounds like a complete just get away from me. So start there. Second thing, like we just talked about, is use transparency and vulnerability. Nobody likes perfect people at all. The second you feel that, I just read you a made up line about the Trump Tower, and it already sounded like sleazy. You probably didn't even want to listen to me anymore. So when you write stuff like that, it's bad. So here's a few examples. "This is going to take more work than you think, but it's worth it." Rather than, hey, that you can get rich, in overnight or in 2 weeks. I worked with this guy, and he was making 10 grand a day within 2 weeks of working with me. It sounds like too good to be true, and many times we all know that if it sounds too good to be true, many times it is, and occasionally it's not. But we want to err on the side of safety here and just be transparent. Another example is, "I don't have all of this figured out. I oversleep almost daily. I'm neurotic. I'm lazy 75% of every day, and I wish I didn't have to clean up dog poop, but I do." And so it sounds like, wait, why is that there? And it's strictly to make you human, strictly to make you seem touchable, and that people are just, and you're just like the other people reading this. Now, I want to add an addendum to this, because you don't want to add a million fluff phrases. Now, this isn't fluff. This was there for a specific purpose. That is there to let you know that I'm human. But you don't want to add a million fluff phrases that don't have an actual purpose, because the longer something is, typically the worse it is. Shorter is always better if you can accomplish the same thing with the length. Next is, call out what everyone is thinking all the time. So whenever you're making an offer, there's always going to be objections that come up. And the best thing to do is call them out right on the carpet. Now, this is something that I've kind of always known deep down in my heart that it was the right thing to do, but I didn't always do it. And I'm speaking all the way back to when I first started network marketing. We were kind of trained to avoid topics that we knew were going to be combative. So, the company's name, for instance, is really well known. And when that company's name got brought up, it was like, put on your boxing gloves, it's time to dance. So we were basically taught to like, hey, let's just avoid that. And then by the third meeting, we'll probably tell them. And it never really set well with me or some of the people that I was working with, my direct coach. So we were generally always willing to say that and call that out immediately. And this goes with literally everything. So let's say you're giving away a free ebook or a free course or a free consultation if you're a doctor, or a free whatever, or you're basically doing anything that is like, wait, what's the catch? Just call that out. So I usually write something like, if I were you, I'd be wondering, what's the catch? Or why is he giving this to me for free? Well, it's because I want to add so much value to you with my free content that you consider my coaching program at a later date, or whatever it is. Just give them the real reason. People are not stupid. They've been marketed to thousands and thousands of times every month, so they see lots of stuff. And so when they see something super fresh and super honest, it's going to connect. Next thing is pattern interrupts. This is some of my favorite stuff ever. Now, by default, self-depreciating phrases and transparency and calling out what everybody's thinking are the pattern interrupts, but direct pattern interrupts are something like, don't read this. I love using that. I literally will write on my ads, don't read this, and people are like, I want to read that, and that's on purpose. Another one, if you're looking for a free money-making website, this is definitely the wrong ad. This script takes work, but at least it does work. So people are used to seeing, hey, don't do anything and, watch money, spit out from your computer. I'm saying, nope, definitely the wrong thing, but this will work. It just takes some work, that kind of a thing. Next is want to talk about me. I wasn't listening to the song. It was playing in my head that I want to talk about me. I want to talk about you. That was playing in my head when I wrote this, but people want to talk about them. No one is thinking about you but you. So when you're writing, nobody really cares about anything that is in it for you. The only reason you would say what's in it for you is just to put their mind at ease and not make them have a bunch of questions pop up. But everything else needs to be about them. The benefits, the reason that they're reading the ad, the fact that they're taking their time out. One of the things about copywriting that has made me better in everything that I do is to know that if I don't catch someone's attention and hold it with literally every line of copy, then I will lose that attention and they're going to leave. They're going to click off the site, they're going to click off the ad, and it's over. Well, that's true in human interaction as well. Now, they can't just click off of you and make you vanish, but they're going to slow down. They're not going to listen as much. Their mind's going to wander, and you're going to have a lot less influence on them. And that happens when you're not talking about someone else. And you can't ask questions to someone that easily and copy them. You can ask them, but you can't wait for an answer. So you have to talk about them consistently. So make sure you write with them in mind, with benefits pointed towards them. Next is read what you wrote out loud. So every time you complete an ad or a sales letter or a chunk of it, read what you wrote out loud to yourself or to someone. Better yet, if you have someone that's willing to, get someone to read it to you, because then it's even more of a better perspective rather than your own voice. But at least hearing those words verbally, you'll pick out the stuff right away that's not smooth, that doesn't jive well, or stuff that sounds too, like the next point, too markety or too sleazy. That stuff's going to just stick out like a sore thumb when you read it out loud. So make sure you do that. Next is avoid marketing phrases. So if it sounds like you're wearing a flannel jacket, slinging used cars, rewrite it. It's not gonna do well. 10, 15 years ago that worked when the internet marketing world was kind of just coming alive. Actually, it's more like 15, 20 years ago. It may have worked, and it did work. Today, it's almost an automatic click off. There's just so much of that crap out there that nobody wants to read it. The majority of your clients are going to want you to write this way. They're going to want you to write like a marketer. And let me just ask you, how much do you like reading someone's highly pressurized sales pitch? If someone feels super glossy or super fancy and they feel almost untouchable in a way, how much do you like reading their stuff? You don't. You like reading something, directly to you, friend to friend. So if it feels markety, if it feels like you're wearing a flannel jacket, rewrite it. Next thing is call attention to the target immediately. So at the very, very beginning of the sales page, the ad, the landing page, whatever you're writing, write whatever it is, or write to whoever it is that you're wanting to be on that page. So if you're targeting a business coach, write attention business coach. If you're targeting a doctor, you can write dear doctor or attention doctors or whatever the case is. The whole point of that is to grab that person's attention immediately. One of the misconceptions in the normal world out there is that you want to cast a really, really large net to get as many people in as you can, and that's completely false. The more narrow the net you can cast, the better. So if you're a very busy person, you are a very busy person, and if you click on a page and it says, let's say you are a network marketer, because if you're looking at this, you most likely are. So you're a network marketer and you probably work a job during the day. And you click on an ad and it says, attention housewives. And what if you're not a housewife? What if you're a single lady? Or what if you're a man? Or what if you're a college gal, a college guy? But the rest of the sales letter is targeted towards a network marketer. Like the second you see attention housewives, you're going to get off of that. Or let's say even worse, it doesn't even have a headline, or it doesn't even call attention to that target immediately. It just says, one day I was sitting at my desk and I saw a iPhone charging cord there, and I wondered, could I call some, like you're already super bored because you have no idea who this letter is targeting. So make sure you always call attention to that. Next is speak in stories with epiphanies. So there's a much different thing between telling someone about something, like, you should buy this Logitech wireless mouse because it has dark side or a dark field laser that can track on glass and on wood. Nobody really cares about my dark field laser that tracks on glass and wood, but they do care about, like, one day I was sitting at my desk and I was using the Apple Magic Mouse, and it was super cool. I loved it because it's like a touch screen on a mouse. But every time I scrolled on it, it was capturing both of my fingers. So it was like my mouse was going nuts. Everything was going everywhere. And I was actually writing an email to an important client. I was going to click save as a draft, and I clicked send. And it was totally not ready. And I ended up losing the client because the stupid mouse freaking clicked everywhere. And so I basically threw the mouse against the wall, and I was like, I need to get something better. So I started researching, and I ended up looking at this Logitech thing. It looked super cool, and I was like, okay, if I'm gonna spend $80 on a wireless mouse, I'm gonna get the best one ever. So they ended up making one that works on glass, works on wood, and I started using it literally everywhere, and I've never had an issue with my computer again, and I've never lost a client because of a stupid thing like a mouse. So you see the difference there? Now I totally made that up, but it works. Here's another one that I would use. So when I first started cold contacting people, I would run around to gas stations every single day. And quite honestly, I would get almost no results. I mean, I would go to these gas stations and start conversations with 10 people a day and basically spear check them into my opportunity. And it took me about 300 to 400 contacts just to get one person that would actually get registered in my business. And after all that effort for years and years, I finally cornered a big shot that I've been idolizing for like 5 years. And I started drilling him with questions. And it's not like I'd never done this before, but I just failed for so long that I was just in a different place where I was willing to do absolutely everything. And I think all the failure just got me so desperate that anything he told me, I would have done it. And what he told me that night changed everything. He told me that I had to start promoting something bigger than me, something other than my business, to get people interested. So instead of doing, you see what I mean? I'm telling you a story of what everything that happened to get my big results, and giving you an epiphany that changed everything. The epiphany was I started finding out that I should be promoting something bigger than me, and so making that shift for people rather than just telling them that they should be doing XYZ. Okay? Next is to get great at writing copy. You don't have to read millions of books. I mean, you do, but you don't have to read them all before you actually start doing it. You just have to start doing it. And you build a great sales piece by building it section by section, piece by piece. Some days I'll be on fire and I'll write 10 pages. Yesterday was one of those days. I was just cranking through everything. Other days I will be sitting on my computer for 6 hours and have literally almost nothing done. And I always thought I was like this crazy person for being like that, but I found that almost everyone is like that. Some days you're on, some days you're off. Some days you're going to write 2 sentences and they're both going to be horrible, and some days you're going to write 10 pages and it's going to be like this soliloquy that, you like that word? Soliloquy that came out of, Mozart, and it's going to be the most amazing thing ever. But just realize you don't have to craft this entire thing all in one sitting. You just have to follow a formula, the ones that we're talking about here, and just put it together piece by piece. Call the attention to the right person. Okay, I got that. Now I'm going to do a self-depreciating pattern interrupt. Okay, I got that. Now I'm going to tell them what I'm actually promoting. Okay, I got that. Now I'm going to remove their objections. Okay, I got that. And you just put each piece together, right? And the second to last thing is just write every single day. There's a famous author out there that says, how did you put out so much content, so many books, so many best-selling books? And he said, I just wrote 2 crappy pages a day. And again, what you're going to find is it's going to turn into what we just talked about. Sometimes a lot of pages, sometimes legit just crappy pages. But as long as you do 2 crappy pages a day, it's going to be good. And the real last thing is just be you. To this day, there has never been anyone born with your fingerprints. There's never been anybody that has seen the world from your perspective. Your voice is your number one asset. I've got so my business coach's coach has season tickets to a baseball team. I forgot what team it was, but it's his favorite one. And behind him, he sits in the front row, and right next to him or behind him sits the guy that invented the fingerprint scanner for iPhones. So he then sold that technology to Apple for millions and millions of dollars, and is not doing too shabby. And through all their research, when they're developing this fingerprint scanner, they confirmed that there legitimately has never been anyone on the planet that has the same fingerprint as you. It is 100% unique to you, and your DNA is even more unique than that. And so that just confirms that there's no one like you, and you know for a fact that no one has seen the world from your eyes and has had your exact experiences and your exact perspective. So you have no competition here. You just have to have the courage to be able to put yourself out there like that and really speak as you and not as someone else. So anyway, guys, with that, I hope this helps. I think it did. And I wrote this all out for you on this page. Of course, you can reference these notes, and we will talk to you soon.